Hi everyone, myself is Praveen Rajam and I am studying in Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering and my subject is OOPS with Java and my topic is use static methods in interface and private interface. Introduction to static methods in interfaces. In Java, static methods in interfaces allow for the definition of methods that are not tied to a specific instance of the instance. This provides way to encapsulate utility functions within the interface. How to declare and use static methods in interfaces. Declaration, utilizations, declaration. To declare a static method in an interface, use the static keyword preceding the method signature without providing the implementation. Utilization. Static methods can be called directly using the interface name without the need to create an instance of the interface. Example. Common scenarios for static methods include providing default implementation and common utility methods for the instance. Advantages of using static website methods in interfaces. Code reusability. Static methods facilitate the reuse of code across multiple classes that implement the interface, promoting a dry, do not repeat yourself approach. Utility functions. They allow the definition of utility functions specific to the interface, providing a level of cohesion within the API. Improve readability. By organizing related methods within the interface itself, it enhances code readability and maintainability. Limitations and considerations when using static methods in interface. Multiple inheritance. Java interface does not support multiple inheritance for classes but they support multiple inheritance for interfaces. Static methods cannot be inherited and this limitation should be considered when designing the interface. Mocking for testing. When working with testing frameworks, it can be challenging to mock static methods within the interfaces impacting testability. Introduction to private interface methods. Private interface methods. Introduction in Java enable the encapsulation of common code that can be shared among non-default methods within the same interface. How to declare and use private interface methods. Declaration and utilization. To declare a private method in an interface, use the private keyword preceding the method signature within the implementation. Utilization. Private methods can be used for sharing common code among default methods within the same interface, promoting modularity. Benefits of using private interface methods. Modularity. They enhance the ability to support and organize the code within the interface, leading to a more modular design. Code reusability. Private methods can be utilized across multiple default methods within the same interface, promoting code reuse. Encapsulation. It allows for encapsulating shared code without exposing it as part of interface public API. Scenarios where private interface methods are useful. Complex logic for interfaces with multiple default methods that share common complex logic. Private methods can help in maintaining clarity and reducing redundancy. Code refactoring. They are beneficially when refactoring existing interfaces by consolidating common implementation details into private methods. Comparison between static methods and private interface methods. Access control. Static methods are accessible through the interface name when private interface methods are restricted within the interface only. Code sharing. Static methods are designed for general utility while private methods are intended for sharing code among default methods within the interface. Use static methods in interface and private interface methods. Introduction. Static methods in interfaces allows us to define methods that can be called without creating an instance of the interface. These methods can be useful for providing utility functions or defining common behavior across multiple classes. Private interface methods allows us to help define methods that are only accessible within the interface itself, improving code organization and reusability. Overview of static methods in interfaces. Static methods in interfaces are declared using the static keyword. They can be called directly on the interface itself without the need of the instantiate by implementing classes. Static methods can provide utility functions that are relevant to the interface's functionality. Benefits of using static methods in interfaces. Static methods provide a way to define default behavior for implementing classes. They allow for code reuse and reduce duplication across multiple classes. Static methods can be used for factory methods, utility functions, or helper methods. Examples for static methods in interfaces. Suppose we have an interface called math utils with a static method called square that calculates the square of a given number. This method can be called directly on the interface as mathutils square phi. All classes implementing mathutils will inherit this method. Limitations of static methods in Java. Static methods cannot access instance specific data or methods. They cannot be overridden by implementing classes, limiting their flexibility. Using too many static methods in an interface can lead to a procedural programming style which may not be ideal for object oriented design. Overview of private interface methods. Private interface methods are declared using the private keyword within an interface. They can only be accessible with the interface itself and are not visible to implementing classes or external code. Private interface methods can improve code organization and encapsulation. Benefits of using private interface methods. Private interface methods are all allow for the code reuse within the interface without exposing the implementation details to implementing classes. They make the interface easier to maintain and modify as private methods can be changed without affecting the interface's public API. Private methods can be used to break down complex logic into smaller, more manageable pieces. Example of private interface methods. Suppose we have an interface called string validator within a private method called isValidLength that checks if a given string has a valid length. This private method can be used by other public methods within the interface to perform length validation. Implementing classes do not have access to this private method. Limitations of private interface methods. Private interface methods cannot be called or accessed outside of the interface. They cannot be overridden or implemented by implementing classes. Private methods are meant to be used within the interface for code organization and encapsulation purpose only. Best practices for using static method in interfaces. Use static methods sparingly and only when they provide clear utility or shared behavior. Avoid relying too heavily on static methods as it can lead to the procedural programming style. Document the purpose and behavior of each static methods to provide clarity to developers. Best practices for private interface methods. Use static interface methods to break down complex logic and improve code organization. Keep private methods focused on a specific task to enhance code readability and maintainability. Avoid making private methods too large or complex as this can hinder code comprehension. Summary. Static methods in interfaces allow for the definition of methods that can be called without creating an instance of the interface. They provide utility functions, default behavior, and code reuse across multiple classes. Private interface methods are only accessible within the interface itself and improve code organization and encapsulation. Thank you for your attention.